Hello there, you magnificent grognards. It's Owl. Today, I'm going to have a look at Warhammer Quest Dark Water. I'm going to look through the rules that GW have shown us, discuss a couple of little things that they've not shown us that I'm a little bit suspect on. Some of their wording is a little bit corporate, let's say. So, let's get into it. I think that Warhammer Quest Dark Water is going to probably go up for notification of pre-order on Sunday. So on Sunday, they'll be like, look, you can order this on Saturday because it'll be around about Black Friday. They always do a big release for that. I was hoping it would be Space Hulk. Doesn't look likely. Look out for Space Sulk Part 3 soon. We've got the usual build-up from GW, where last week they were showing us the models, and this week they're showing us the rules. So we've got the rules of the heroes in one article and how the characters work, and then in the other article we've got the adventure, how the adventure works, how the campaigns break down, that kind of thing. So starting off, we can see here, this is their like sort of main character that they're going on about. Let me just make this bigger actually, because we don't need to see the right hand side of this screen. There we go. So this is your new card. Now you'll see that it looks very sort of like Warcry kind of Shade Spire like. There's no dice spaces to put down to do your actions. There's no different actions that you do for different dice numbers. It's all very standard. So your move is a d6. That can be a bloody nightmare, because when you really need to move far and you roll a 1, that sucks. I mean, Hero Quest has got a d6 move system that I'm already not a fan, but never mind. Defense value 3, very simple. Health 10. So no more of like the old system where if you got wounded, you lost an action basically. Here you've just got a standard health tracker that just goes down. Then your attack, you just got one attack by the looks of things. I was kind of thinking this might be like Shade Spire, where you need to roll this result for a hit, but I think this is just showing that it's a melee weapon with range 1, 2 dice, 3+ to hit. Very, very simple. Again, you're not going to be using James Hewitt's system of rolling your dice, and then that shows you what actions you can take, which I really liked. And then you've got the sort of the 5 dice that you roll and you put them aside. I think you take out any doubles or whatever and you put them aside for the other characters to use as the round goes on. I thought that added a really cool dynamic to things. This looks a bit standard, to be honest. This looks a little bit clockwork. But he's got a special rule, which seems to work in perpetuity, which I presume what this means. And then basically after this hero blocks any hits scored by an attack, if the attacker is next to them, then you roll a dice. And then on a 5+ on a dice, you do 1 damage to the attacker. Fairly simple, fairly standard. Basically, he's going to reflect a certain amount of adjacent attacks. So, yep, movement, as in most cases random, save, throw, and health. Very, very, very simple. And then, whereas in the old versions, like Curse City and previous, you had the different actions that you could do. Here, you've just got one. You hit things, and then he's got a shield. And he expends the shield, and then makes a saving roll, and you can just automatically block 1 hit. So basically, in a turn, I guess, you can just use, you block 1 hit. I mean, if you tap it anyway, when are you not going to use that? You may as well just give him a rule saying he can block 1 hit per turn, per round, in my opinion. So, yeah, a little bit weird. But, never mind. So, so you got that. I mean, I presume there's other gear you can pick up throughout the campaign. We haven't really seen much of it, but that's what you can use. And then this is how you're going to be able to do your abilities, and this is where I start to have some concerns regarding the game. So rather than having the amount of dice that you roll, allowing you to do stuff, and you can use any dice for movement, and then certain other actions would require a higher number. Here you've just got these 3 cards, and what you basically do is you tap a card to gain energy to be able to activate another card. So for example, to move, you would tap aid, so you can't do any aid, but that's alright if you don't have any you need to pick up, and that gives you enough energy to be able to move. And then you would tap move to attack. So literally you're going to be limited to, no matter what way you look at it, 2 actions per turn. So say for example you need to aid somebody, you would tap attack to move to them, and then you would tap move to aid that person. So you can see how these combinations are going to work, and unless that's going to change over the course of the game as the campaign goes on, you're going to be limited to this. And this is a concern to me, this limitation of these cards. So I'm kind of hoping that's not all it is, especially if you use move and then you go and roll a 1 and you're like, oh, well, that sucks, because you can sprint, but to sprint you're going to need to tap 2 cards. So if you sprint, that's all you're doing. So yeah, a bit weird. I'm not. We haven't seen enough. I'm really annoyed that before this goes up, we haven't had any play videos. They're probably going to put one on Warhammer Plus next week, hoping they make it free for everybody, because I am not convinced on this game yet. So that's how your actions go, and they just say it here, look, so you move, you spend aid to get the ability to do your move, and then you move, and then you would expend move to get more energy to do the attack. And then the other option for Edmark in this scenario is to sprint and then attack. I don't understand how he sprints when you attack, unless there's another way of getting energy. Because if you want to sprint, you need 2 energy, so you'd have to tap both aid and attack to move, to do the sprint, and move 6 inches. But then how do you attack? Because you've tapped your card. So yeah, a bit weird. Expend aid ability to gain energy. So yeah, I mean, we haven't got the full rules. They say later, oh, we're not going to give you the full rules. It's like, well, I kind of wish you had. So yeah, it's a bit limiting in that kind of way. And then here's the enemy card, and you can see it's more or less the same. So you've got your move, you've got your defense, you've got your health, and then you've got this group thing where they act as a group. You've got range. If this isn't a ranged attack, then I'm not sure what this relates to, because it's not on the dice, and that's what I thought it would be, like Shadespire, but never mind. Hits from 4+, crits on 6+. Is there a crit for, what's his name's? There's no crit for his. So, yeah, and then you basically got a special rule where they can retch, and then, they give you an example here. How it works. So, yeah, pretty standard. Not a lot of dynamism there, in my opinion. Right, okay, so rolling 6 as a hero just scores as a critical hit, which means you store 2 hits. Right, okay, fair enough. That's how that works. The one thing I did really like the look of in this was this enemy action dice idea, because one of the problems with Cursed City and before that Blackstone Fortress was that the enemy would be very predictable as to what they would do. And one of the big problems with Cursed City is you'd have a new wave turn up. They turn up at the furthest away spawn point, not activate that turn. So you'd have a whole turn to get ready for them. You'd know their movement and what they're going to do. You could easily anticipate what they were going to do, which is why when I house ruled that game, Cursed City, because I thought it had big problems, one of the first things I did was basically say, right, spawns are random. They turn up at a random point. It's much more exciting, and they activate straight away. You don't want to be just waiting around, which is what was happening. Like something would spawn miles away, you'd have nothing to kill, so you'd go and walk up to it, then it would activate. It just got really dull real quick. But this looks better. I think this looks better. You roll your dice, depending on what colour they are, and they start off black, and then apparently eventually sort of escalate up to red. You've got your special actions that are on the card, what they'll actually do. It's a bit more interesting than just that chart that they had, and they will do this and then they will do this. It's not as predictable, so I like the idea of that. And as I say, you've got your different attacks, so I think that's going to make things a bit more interesting. Then you've got this retch thing, and they give the enemy a splattered card, and when you get a splattered card, again, you need to lose an activation to clear the splattered card. So you're down to 1 activation in that next turn, unless there's a way of gaining energy. And they keep coming back, and then they've got, as you see, if you get vulnerable, you flip your core over. So when you go down to 0 health, basically, all your abilities turn to these, which is better than being able to do nothing. It's nice that your hero is still able to do something. I mean, you can see that you can still move, but you could potentially move further struggling when, the moving normally. So yeah, you've got these things that you can still do while you're down, and then you can get picked up through get a heal afterwards and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. And I like the way that if you take damage while you're vulnerable, then one of these become 2, so you get weaker and weaker, but you can still do stuff. You're not out the game. And then you've got these reward cards that will help you out, very Hero Quest like in many ways. So that was the first bit. That's the first article that we got regarding Warhammer Quest. We're going to look at the second one now. So this one shows you how the encounters and the campaigns work. And again, this is where I've got some serious concerns. So you'll see that you've got this book. We know that there's 18 maps in this book roughly. And you can see it's taking up not a lot of table space at all. This is going to be almost travel Warhammer Quest. Rather than the big layout of tiles where it's all random and stuff like that, you've just got this. In my opinion, that's not as interesting, but I will give it a chance. It's very Shadespire-like. I'm getting an Underworlds vibe from this. So they're saying that a full campaign will take 10 to 14 hours, which is a decent amount of time to play through a campaign, I think. I think that some campaigns go too long. You know, it's like Gloomhaven, for example. The campaign's going to take 8 months or something. It's just like 50-odd missions to get through. It takes forever. You never, unless you've got a very committed gaming group, you're probably never going to get through it all. So I admire a campaign that's a bit quicker than that. So you take your characters and you take their equipment and then you make 2 decks. So one deck is the cards for that act, which has got encounters, shorter events, and the 3 unique boss encounters, which go at the end of the deck. And then the other deck you do is basically reward cards. Now, it doesn't say how long these decks are. It says that, there's this many cards, but it doesn't say how many of them, because you're obviously only going to fight one boss per encounter. So I'm wondering if, the encounters of these cards here. So what I'm guessing is here, because it doesn't really tell you, but I'm guessing you do an encounter, and then after that you do a little mini event card, and then you do another encounter, another mini event card, another encounter, another mini event card, and then you do a boss. I'm guessing that's what it is. I don't know yet. They've been very obtuse and very unclear on exactly how many cards you use to make the deck, but that's the way that it's going to go. And we're going to get into some more issues that I have with the game design as we go off. You can just do a skirmish, which is nice. Just literally grab an encounter card, set them up, have a game. Yeah, that could be fun. Might get a bit samey, I think, but yeah, you can just have a game. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So you see this one here is Cleanser Spawn Pit. Basically get to the hex at the end and make sure there's no Maya Kelpies. I love these little Maya Kelpie models. They're really cool. And this is the first map in the Lay Flat map book. We'll have to wait and see on that. You've got other missions that use other maps, and you've got different encounters and tokens you can use and stuff like that. And here's your map. Now, this is where I start to see problems with the game. For a start, the map's the same every time. You may well have something placed on these hexes and stuff like that, but other than that, this is going to be the same every time. So you start here, you're going to wander through here or around here or whatever, and try and get to this spiral hex, which I can't actually see on this map, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. So that's one thing. There's no real dynamism to the map. There's no sort of strategy you can use with hiding or staying in another room and waiting for things to come through or anything like that. If you've got a bow and arrow, it's going to be a bit of a pain negotiating. I'm worried about the size of the map that you play on. It's very Shadespire, and Shadespire works when you've got 2 or 3 models or 4 models aside, but when you've got your 2 characters and then loads of bad guys, I'm not sure about how that's going to work. The second concern that I've got is this. This is the initiative tracker, and as you will see, it is always hero goes, bad guy goes, 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 end of round. Always. I presume, because there's no way of scaling this that I've seen. I presume if you play with one person, you use 4 characters. I presume. And I'm going to tell you why I have to presume this in a minute. But it's also timed. So every time you get to an end of a round, you move this down 1, boop, boop, boop. So you've got 5 rounds. So the problem with this is what happens is you suddenly turn into a bit of a mathematical quandary, like a puzzle game, like Gloomhaven, which is not a good fit for Warhammer, in my opinion, because the abilities and the decks work differently. In Gloomhaven, you tailor your deck and your skills to work out that puzzle for each dungeon. This is not that. So you've basically got, assuming that you do use all 4 characters, you've got, and going by what we've seen so far from the game, you've got 8 actions with the enemies going times 5, presumably, and that's you're to win the game kind of thing. So what happens is it boils down to, have I got enough actions to do what I need to do? And are you going to get to the point where you're like, well, there's now no longer any point in playing because I don't have enough actions to do what I need to do, which is where this kind of scaling problem comes in. As I say, we don't know. If you've got 1 hero, do you reduce the amount of bad guys? We haven't been told, so we don't know for sure. I would like to think there's some kind of scaling system. However, in games like Curse City and Blackstone Fortress before it, you had this weird initiative deck where you would lay down, and sometimes you'd get 3 bad guys going in a row, and then you'd have the heroes, and then you could do this thing called play Gambit to get yourself ahead of the pack and things like that. Much more interesting than this, which is just basically you go, I go, you go, I go, you go, I go, and then I presume that the monster order will be determined in some way, but you're going to know exactly what's going on at any given point. It's very, very straightforward and, by the numbers, rather than that interesting initiative system that we had that James Hewitt came up with. So you're just going to have these cards that you use to do your abilities. Then they're going to go, presumably. You're going to hope you don't die. Then you're going to have to get rid of some more. I mean, the fact that you have to get rid of all the Mayak LPs to do this spiral thing surely means you can't play this with just one hero. Can you? They've just not been quite transparent enough, in my opinion, for this. But then, you've got different hexes and stuff, and then these are my favourite. I can't believe they didn't show these off before this. These are my favourite models from the reveal. That is just straight out of The Lost and the Damned. That is so cool. That would sell me on the box alone. And we'll get to the miniatures in a minute, because I don't think that the heroes in particular are as good as Curse City, but we'll get there. We'll get there, don't you worry. So, basically, if you do this scenario, then you draw 5 reward cards, and if you picked up any loot, you put that into the pool, and then basically everybody gets to take one card. And there's no levelling up that's been mentioned, not that I've seen. So, you grab your loot. If you fail because time runs out, this 5 rounds thing, or the entire party goes down, then you have to get rid of 4 reward cards that you've already got to try and heal up and go again. Otherwise, you've got to start a fresh campaign. I do like these guys, though. They're cool. So here we go. With each act deck comprising a pool of 16 encounters plus separate boss encounters, a selection of events and a couple of rest spots, as well as rewards unique to the act, plus a combination of heroes you play, you're unlikely to ever have 2 campaigns play out the same way. So you might be thinking, 16 encounters. That's quite a long time. No, they're saying each act has up to 16 encounters, and presumably GW will do expansions as time goes on. Again, we'll get to Curse City in a minute. They will do expansions for this that involve other models, maybe, but certainly other cards and acts, and maybe even like a little expansion book is what I would do. So, I'm not seeing a levelling system here, which is a bit of a shame, because before you had that inspiration thing. It's all D6 based, apart from enemies, which work on those activation dice, which, as I've said, I quite like. You haven't got the weird, funky dice from before. You haven't got the thing where you can level up your dice, which I loved. I love that idea of now I roll the D12 rather than the D4 kind of thing. And they do say there's lots of intricacies that they've not covered, which, fair enough, probably is. But I want to see this played before I commit. I'm not convinced yet that this is going to offer a deep enough gameplay experience to make it worthy of the name Warhammer Quest. I'm really not. I'm not convinced. This looks like Underworld's The Story at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see, whether your heroes advance or anything like that. They've not given us that information yet, but I didn't see that on the card. Didn't see any way that this worked. And this looks to be a more shallow experience overall than any previous Warhammer Quest. So they've done like this Hammer Herald thing, a pointless article. I don't know why they've bothered with this. I really don't. I mean, if it's a weekly thing they're going to carry on with while they're releasing the game, or maybe do daily ones while they're waiting for the game to go on pre-order next week, I don't know. Just seems a bit weird. I would have rather had another gameplay article here. Show me how things, show me how the heroes advance or something like that. I don't know why they've done that. And we've got some stupid fucking clickbait title. Fuck off. Apothecaries of the Mortal World. Hate this one weird trick. You know what I hate? Fucking that. You'll never see that in a Grumpy Godnod gaming video, that's for sure. So let's have a look at the models. First of all, we're going to have a look at the miniatures from Darkwater. Here's Edmark Valoran. It looks alright. I mean, it looks not particularly imposing or heroic, I guess, for a mighty hero, but he's alright. Looks like a teenager who's found his dad's armour. We've got Bren Tillis, who has been punched in the face a couple of times by the looks of things. Again, it's okay. There's not much interesting about the model, in my opinion. Got like the sort of broken armour here, but it's very generic. Inara Scion, and again, she's alright. She looks a bit like Sylvester Stallone there. But yeah, it's okay. She's got huge feet in comparison to the size of her face and hands. She's alright. I mean, there's nothing interesting about her. She's wearing like these weird trouser raggedy things under her dress. Got this water spout thing. I'm not massively a fan of it. It's alright. I don't hate it. I know that's the best I can say. Dwarf, the Drolf Ironhead. He's okay. I know his beard's a bit weird. And this is probably my favourite of the character models. Looks quite generic as a dwarf, but he looks quite cool. But yeah, not exactly blown away. And that's your 4 main characters, and you have to unlock the other characters. And this is something else that I don't understand either, because it says you unlock the other characters, but then what? You've been using one character, you've got loads of loot for him, and then you put him aside and use a different character? Where's the attachment? As I say, it doesn't look like they level in any way. So where's that feeling of like, oh, this is my hero, he's been through like 6 battles, he's got, you know, these honours, and he's got this, or just loot in nothing else. So even in Hero Quest, you'd get to the stage where your barbarian's got a bloody crossbow and a shield or something and a board, and he's unstoppable. Do you know what I mean? He's leveled up. His stats haven't gone up, his weapons have, because you've got gold. And then you're going to put it all aside to play one of these other models? I don't know. So you've got this Kanofi forest prince guy, whatever. He looks vaguely Aztec as compared to anything else. I'm getting a Prince Namor kind of vibe from him, but yeah, whatever. He's an alright model, I guess. This guy, Dash of Rawn, don't like him. I mean, it looks awful. Part of it might be the colour, but he just looks stupid. I'm sorry, he does. It's like I'm covered in fur, but then I'm also wearing a fur skirt. Okay, mate. Okay. And then you've got the Jade Wizard, which his Jacobus fine. He's all right. He's all right. But yeah, you have to unlock these. So it's a bit weird. You have to give up your old character and presumably use one of the new ones. But there's only 3 new characters. So if there's 4 of you playing and you unlock these guys, is one of you still using your old characters? Are these used in one-off scenarios? You know, the information isn't there, so we don't really understand how that works. But model-wise, I think they're disappointing. I don't think they're that interesting. And just before we get on to the bad guys, which I think are better in Darkwater, we're going to have a look at Curse City. So if we have a look at Curse City, these are the heroes from Curse City, and you tell me that these aren't better in every single way. So here's your equivalent of Bruin, whatever her name is. That's just a better model. It's just more interesting. There's more painting opportunities. All right, she's got a Karen face, but at least hasn't been punched in. It's just better. It's just a better model. I like that. I think that, it's more interesting. You've got a little pouch here. You've got some different things to paint. You've got a little eagle kind of cloak almost kind of thing. I think it's a much better model. Here's your equivalent of, I guess, the big bear dude. That's way better. That's way better. I had so much fun painting this model. It was awesome. Big bear dude just looks boring. Here's your equivalent of the Inara Scion, the Wizardess. Again, look at this. This is so much more interesting. So much more opportunity for stuff. That looks awesome. That looks much more interesting, in my opinion. And again, I had loads more fun painting this. And then we've got Jolson Darroch. I guess he would be the equivalent of our boy Edmark Valoran. Again, in my opinion, absolutely no contest. Look, that's one of my favourite models they've done. It's awesome, Witch Hunter. Loved painting that up. And then I look at this guy and I'm like, eh. So yeah, and then you've got the dwarf, Dagnai Holdenstock. I really like this guy as well. A Caradron kind of thing, but not over the top. More pirate and swashbuckling looking. He's still got Caradron elements to him, but he looks interesting. He looks more, he looks like a hero. And then again, even though I think this is the best model, you look at your dwarf, it's like, yeah, he's alright. He's not bad, but he ain't that. So yeah. And then you've got this guy, which I presume is the equivalent of your Jade Wizard. And again, this guy's just more interesting. He's got the mask, he's got this great big beard. The flow of the model was really nice. I was painting it, all these books and everything. And, the Jade Wizard's going to come off a bit better here because it's probably one of the best models in the box. Yeah, even here, there's not a great deal going on with him. I mean, his face is almost like smushed into his cloak and everything. And then you got Glario van Alten, who I painted up as Lord Flashheart, Rick Mail. I think it was shortly after Rick's passing, and I wanted to do a tribute, so I did him and a guy from Blackstone Fortress, who's very similar, the Rogue Trader, in white and gold. I'll try and find a picture of him and put it in the video. But again, just that's interesting, that's cool. And even here, and I had to get 2 of these because the first one broke off here, so I got 2. But yeah, I mean, maybe slightly less so, but I think I prefer her to that. I don't know. I mean, it's a bit less likely. And we'll get to the hostiles in a minute. But when we come to the hostiles in Darkwater, these I genuinely do think look quite good. So you've got Nurgle. It's a nice new look for Nurgle. I think it's better than the Age of Sigmar stuff they showed off. This is very kind of old school. So, yeah, you've got Gelgus Pust. This one, Belga, the Cyst Witch. Awesome model. That's so cool. Like this kind of grub that's, oh man. Like Alice in Wonderland vibes there, you know. That's really cool. I really like that. Molgoth the Cleaver. Again, great model. Loads of character. Looks awesome. Shaman Foulhoof, yeah, take it or leave it. He's all right. But he's not bad. And then you get down to your Kankerborn. Again, very cool. This is probably my favourite I've seen of Nurgle. I hate the cheeky, happy look of Nurgle. I prefer, you've got this kind of diseased, festering look. And I like to think they just act happy, but they don't look happy. Bite Templars, these are nice, very nice. Pox Wretches, very good. Prefer these to the zombies that we got in Curse City. Really looking forward to painting these. Loads going on with them. Loads of opportunities for doing different things. The Pestigores, a little bit two-dimensional, these guys, by nature of the design. These ones here, they're going to be a little bit two-dimensional, but they look fine. They look fine. The detail's still there. They look better than the Pestigores they showed off for Age of Sigmar, I think. My Kilpies, I've already said a lot of these. They're great. I'll probably do something a bit more convincing with the base to make it look like they're coming out of water. Some gloss on the base or something, but very cool. And that's your lot. And there was a picture of everything, I think. Here it is. So that's all your stuff. Model count is comparatively roughly the same. I think Curse City's got a couple of more models. Obviously, it's going to cost more. We don't know how much yet. I'd say this is going to be about 160 quid, I'm afraid. I don't think it's going to be. And Curse City was 130. I could see this jumping up by at least 20 quid. So I'd say I'm going to go 160 and hope I'm proven pleasantly wrong. And then when we look at the Curse City stuff, you've got these cool rats. You've got the bat swarms. Wasn't a massive fan of the Deadwalker zombies in this. Much preferred the kit that they released separately. Again, these had that two-dimensional thing going on. Very two-dimensional plane because it's all one or two pieces on the sprue. But the Elfin Watch were nice, really nice models. And then the heroes I thought were really good. You had the Night Guard and these guys, brilliant. I loved the Virkos Bloodborne and the Vargskier. Painted all this stuff up and loved it. Loads of character with these guys. Had problems with the way that the Curse City campaign ran. I didn't like the way that you went through the campaign. I'm hoping that's better in Darkwater. Torquilus the Chamberlain, and of course Radikar the Wolf. And actually bad guys for Curse City. So models-wise, I think they're comparable, but I think the heroes in Curse City are a lot more interesting. And the heroes in Darkwater are a letdown. I kind of hope they'll do some things where they allow you to use other models, like they did in Silver Tower. I don't know if they will. I don't know what expansion plans they've got for this. But that's my thoughts on Darkwater, guys. I'm a little bit concerned that this experience might be shallow. Just a little bit concerned that the way that this is looking, it's not going to offer a lot of depth of gameplay. It looks very much to me like this character will have a certain amount of activations to use to do stuff, and you'll need to work out whether that's enough to do what you need to do, and it won't take much to make it so it's not enough to do. Whereas with the old system of Warhammer Quest, even if you've got a bad dice roll, you could even always take one, or I think sometimes even two dice from the pool that was collectively rolled, which added a dynamic to it. And I preferred the random activation initiative chart in Curse City to this, hero goes, bad guy goes, hero goes, bad guy goes. But we've not seen the full rules yet, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping that there's enough variety in the encounter cards to keep things fresh. I am still looking with an eye to get it, but I want to see gameplay. And I want to see honest thoughts. I know this is going to get sent out to the usual influencers that have decided to toe the line with the Warhammer NDA, but the only one that told the truth with Cursed City that I remember, Uncle Adam from GMG, I think it is, and he said that Cursed City had problems, with the way that the game is set up. I managed to fix those with house rules, but I have my concerns here. I have my concerns here whether this offers a robust enough experience or whether or not it is just Underworld's narrative mode, which is the feeling I'm getting from it at the moment. So hopefully we'll find out more. I'm hoping to see a full rulebook at some point. I want to see gameplay before I decide to get it. But you guys let me know down below. I mean, it still looks nice. It's still nice to get a new Warhammer Quest. So are you going to be picking this up? Is this something that, you know, maybe you want it just for the models? I mean, the Nurgle models are very nice. Whatever I think of the heroes, the Nurgle stuff's very good. So yeah, sound off below, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in another video real soon. Bye.